All right, guys. Well, it's time for another update from the Roland Project over in Royal Oak. We have gotten considerably further than we were before. The last time you saw it, I believe, there was just raw drywall, no flooring. Kitchen was gutted entirely. So since then, update-wise, we are nearing completion. We've still got finished work to do, cleanup to do, counters still have to go in. But basically in the main living room space, we've got everything pretty much painted up. We do have carpet on the floor, if I can get it down there. So we've actually got carpet all throughout the entire property, which we'll take a look through. The kitchen itself has been floored. We've got a resilient vinyl in here. Todd Herzig from Pleasant Ridge Flooring put it in. Has the carpet too. Both came out great. It needs to be cleaned up, obviously, but we got countertops are in both sides. So we've got basically our space here that we got a stove in the center. We're going to have our countertops on top on either side. So that's going to make for a really good hangout area. You'll be able to interrelate with everybody that's in the other room. We're going to span this entire surface. We got dishwasher in, refrigerator over here, span this whole surface. We're going to use a laminate here just to control project costs, especially considering this is a rental. We've still got half the electricals done. See if I can get you to see. We're just doing a track lighting system up top. We've got a pendant that we're going to drop over the sink. We have also floored in the utility space. We're going to finish cleaning all this up. We're not doing a ton in here because it is a utility room and a rental, but we will clean everything up and get the washer dryer back in. We have done definitely some safety related updates to the HVAC system courtesy of Autumn Air. And going through the rest of the property here, if you remember, this wall had that intense quarter-inch, not even luan. It was like an old-school wood paneling that was up. We pulled all that down, and the walls weren't in horrible shape, but there was definitely some funk underneath them. There was mastic all over them. That needed to be dealt with. There was some cracking. There was some general damage. And honestly, in some cases, especially with that mastic, we started trying to get it off as much as possible with scrapers. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's only so far that you can go with that. So we actually ended up skim coating it. So we had Sean and Josh from Home Pro Construction helping us with that. They did a good job. They're about half done with that. Again, going through here, we replaced every switch and outlet in the whole place with new versions just to kind of keep it a little updated. Those small things tend to have a pretty huge impact. People don't necessarily know when they walk into a place why they think it's new and clean, but those small things, vent covers, doorknobs, plates and outlets, the switches and plates and outlets, those all lend to the idea that a property has been updated subconsciously to most buyers' minds. Again, they don't necessarily know what it is they're looking at or why they think it looks new, but those tend to be some of the things that trigger them to realize, hey, this is an updated property, along with smaller things like these are brand new cabinets, so we didn't need to do them for them. But if they were older cabinets that we were refacing, we'd replace the hardware on them too. Because if you've got painted over hinges and stuff like that, again, that's something that shows up to people like, it just doesn't look very updated. We didn't really do much to the bathroom. We got a vent going in just so it's going to be good. We have it painted. We're going to reuse that vanity because it was in pretty good shape. So, same thing in this room, mild updating. We got the dome lights up top, got this room carpeted, everything painted. The closet, if you remember, which was in a pretty rough state of disrepair, has been totally cleaned out and drywalled well, and that looks solid. We sprayed that, so it's nice and clean. Same thing in this other room here. We haven't updated all the lighting in here. We're about half done with that. But, this room's definitely looking fresh. And through our magic tiny hallway here, going into the rear space of the house. If you remember this space, initially, we just had it all raw drywall and now we've got it all painted up, and all that rough wood paneling that was down there, it's still not ideal. I don't love wood paneling, and it'd be preferable to pull it all out. But again, when you're trying to keep costs down, the reality is for a rental, you could just you can get away with painting it, and it still works. So that's what we did here. And this room, which was one of the roughest rooms, this is the room with that had the brutal flooring. There's no indication of that existing anymore. We've got all that problem has been eliminated. It's all good, solid subfloor. Now it has been carpeted. There's still a lot of rough elements down here, or some of this drywall was just rough. I mean, it was just really jacked up. There was some holes straight through to the outside. We insulated everything that needed to be insulated, so there's insulation in there now. And what we're going to do for some of this lower level finishing stuff is basically moldings. So this room, because it's got some higher damage, we're going to do some 5-inch moldings, and that will hide all of this, and not just hide it, but I mean basically fix the problem. There won't be an issue there anymore. The rest of the house, where applicable, like in this hallway, I don't know if you could easily see it, but down in this hallway, there's again some damage on the base of the drywall, and the easiest way and the most stable way for us to solve that is to just use some molding. So we're going to put 3-inch down there, 3 1/4. Well, that's pretty much it. Exterior-wise, there's nothing really to be done yet because it's still frozen outside. So the handful of things that we are going to paint outside, being the railings that have been put in, the door, front door, and stuff like that, the porch. There's nothing we can do about that until it's over 40 degrees for at least a couple days and not soaking wet. Because right now it's about 40 degrees, but everything's melting all over us. So moving forward, the next step that we have to deal with, basically we're going to complete the electrical, the superficial electrical that's getting dealt with, basically the lighting and stuff like that. There's a handful of plugs and switches that are still getting swapped out, and then that's pretty much it. Then the counters go in, sink goes in, plumbing all happens, and we will come in and deep clean this place. And once we deep clean it, then you're really going to see the transition from a place that was pretty defunct. I mean, it's pretty messed up, and it's going to be a very, very solid property at that point that's going to bring in a really good rent return, and somebody's really going to enjoy living here. It's the heat is kicking in this place, so it's definitely going to be a comfortable place for any tenant to occupy. And as far as I understand, without it even being complete yet, we already have a tenant in place for the property. So that's solid, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is a multi-year lease, even more than 2. I think it's a 3-year lease. So basically, we're pretty much at the end of this. The next video that I take will either be the video of the installation for the counters, because a lot of times that's one area that you're really going to be able to save some money on. Like for us, initially this is going to be a granite scenario, but since we did so much more to the property that was unexpected with some of the damage that was happening from weather and rough roofing, one of the ways that we could shave back some of that cost was to pull it out of the counters. And it's still going to be a very, very good, some of the laminate options are really cool looking now, so it's not a negative, it's just not going to be stone finish level. And then we're also going to backsplash put up a nice backsplash. It's probably going to be a subway tile, which again, personally, I love subway tiles. They're one of the least expensive tile. It's a classic look. No one really has strong negative opinions about it. People might say, hey, I like it or I don't like it, but it's always going to be a lasting look, especially we use white subway tile. So that tends to look good forever. Even if you see houses that are now, you go into a lot of houses around here have those 4x4 bathroom tiles. And some of the color choices that were around back in the day, the pinks and the blues, and they're a little rough when you take a look at them now. But there's plenty that were white back then that they put in that honestly they look killer. We just actually redid, we reglazed. We refinished the 4x4 tile in my mother's house in St. Clair Shores, which was, they had that pink and black tile everywhere. Actually, she didn't even have the pink and black. She had the pink and like that burgundy maroon. It was horrible. I hated it my whole life here. But we reglazed all that and we did it white. And I'll actually take a video over there so you can see that. And it came out looking great, especially for the money and the time save. I mean, what would have been a project that would have taken us a fair amount of time to turn around and actually tear everything down and put cement board up and put new tile up, that would have been several days worth of project. It was a couple hours. Somebody comes in, ropes everything off, sprays it all down, and you've got basically a brand new bathroom. So that's definitely a really good renovation option if you're a flipper or you're looking to update a rental, or even if you're just a homeowner that wants to make their bathroom look fresh and not spend a ton of money and a ton of time doing it. So anyway, that's the next one we'll check in for, and we'll see what happens then. Take care.